Hello children, let me welcome you all to a lesson through the virtual training center of the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai under the work from home sessions. My name is Shraddha teacher and today we will be doing a lesson in standard 7th English. And the name of the lesson children is Seeing Eyes Helping Hands. It is a lesson number 1.5 in your textbook and it is on page number 16. So before you proceed to see this video, you can all pick up your English textbooks and come to page number 16 and follow the lesson along with me. Now children, this lesson is actually a kind of a story and also it is a kind of a way in which certain skills in English are being developed in you. Now, why is it a kind of a story? Because it has been designed around this particular school called as New Vision High School. Okay. Now, everyone here in New Vision High School is very busy, and the reason is that they have set up a new social work project. All right. And the name of that particular project is Seeing Eyes Helping Hands. All right. Now, whenever you have when you start a social work project, why do you start it with? You start it so that you can help a society. You can make your small contribution towards making the lives of people around you better. Now, this school also has taken up this kind of a project and they wish to instill the values of caring for people, of sharing things with people, helping people in trouble, etc. in their students. So that is the reason that New Vision English or High School has picked up this project, a social work project. Now, whenever you start a new project, children, it is very, very essential that people around you know about this project. Okay, so what do? You have a big inauguration function for the project. Now, when there is an inauguration function, what happens is you call people. Okay, you invite people who are important people in your society. You invite people who are working in that particular field and they come and they declare this particular project or this particular program as open. Now, along with the VIPs who come to inaugurate the program, you also have to invite guests in the program. Okay. Now, when it is a function of the school, children, what do you think? Whom will the school invite? What people will be expected to come for this particular inauguration function? Yes, it is the children who study in the school as well as the parents of the children who are studying in that particular school. So that means that when there is an inauguration function, this particular idea has to be communicated to people. Okay, so how do you communicate? Not only about inauguration, suppose there is a function in your house. Okay, someone is getting married, or if there is a housewarming function in your house, how do you let this idea reach people? You send them invitation letters, isn't it? What is an invitation letter? An invitation letter is informing someone that we are having this kind of a program in our house, okay, or we are having this kind of a program in our society, so please join us. So what do? You invite people. Now, when you invite people, children, what are you doing actually? You are doing the process of communication. Okay, and when you communicate, what do? You always try to transmit ideas which are in your head into someone else's head. Okay, you try to put ideas which are in your head into someone else's head when you're communicating, isn't it? You're letting people know what's going on in your brain when you're communicating. All right, so now this kind of communication, it can be done in various ways. Okay, so now we have verbal communication. Verbal communication means communication in which you use some kind of language, and then you have non-verbal communication. Now, in non-verbal communication, we use different kinds of gestures, or we use sign language, or we use body language in order to communicate something. Alright, under verbal communication, you have written communication, you have oral communication, and you have visual communication. Now, in today's lesson, we are going to talk about written communication, that is how you write written invitations, okay, and we will talk about oral communication or oral invitations. So, this is actually a lesson about how you communicate your ideas to others. Now, in this particular lesson, what is the idea? The idea is that of an invitation. You are supposed to invite someone, and now you're supposed to think how or in which methods or in which ways you are going to plan your invitation. All right? So, let us see. We are going to have some oral invitations also. We are going to look at a few kinds of oral invitation, and we are also going to look at how written invitations are done. Okay, so now naturally when you say oral invitation, it means when you say something to invite people, and when you say written invitation means you write out something and then send it out to the person whom you want to invite. All right, so let us start by understanding how an invitation letter which is written should look like. Now this is I'm not going to pick up any other specimen to teach it to you. I will just show you an example which is outside of your book. But to explain this to you, I'm going to pick up the same letter which is there in your textbook. So this is an invitation letter, and it will be treated as a formal invitation letter. Okay, so this is a written invitation letter. Alright, now let us try and understand more about this letter. So see, what kind of invitations are you going to learn this time in this particular lesson? You will see how a formal invitation is written. You will talk about an oral invitation. You will see how a notice is written. And you will also look at another way in which you can do an oral invitation as part of this particular lesson 1.5. And remember, what are we talking about? When we are talking about invitation, when we are talking about notice, what are we talking about? Actually, we are talking about communication. Okay, so come on, now let us start by looking at the first kind of invitation, that is a formal invitation. Now, in a formal invitation, you will see that there are no endearments. That is, you do not write dear, or you do not try to show familiarity with the person whom you are talking to or whom you are addressing the invitation to. So, a formal invitation follows certain strict rules. Okay, but there are certain things which should be part of every invitation letter, whether it is formal, whether it is informal, whether it is oral, etc. And that is certain information. Now see, when you want to call someone, you have to naturally give that person your address. Okay, you have to tell that person when he's supposed to come. So these certain things are there which you're supposed to communicate when you're writing a kind of an invitation. Alright, so let's see what important things make up the invitation. So here you have the name of the project. That is, for what are you inviting a person. So now this is for the inauguration of this particular project. It could be for a wedding, okay? It could be for a housewarming. It could be for the opening of a new store or the opening of a new office or any other event. So the event for which you are inviting the person should be clearly mentioned. You could also mention which people are going to be part of this particular function. Okay, who are the chief guests? Who are the people who are going to preside over the function, etc. This information is included in a formal invitation. Okay. Then the most important things in an invitation are the timing or the date on which these people are supposed to attend this particular function. And last but not the least, the venue. That is, where is this function going to take place, so that people can make arrangements to reach this place on time. So this is how a formal invitation is written. These are the important things which should be mentioned in any invitation, not only a formal invitation. Okay. So this is the example which is there in your book. I have picked up another example. See here, now this is the opening of a shop. Alright, so Messrs. Shamlal and Sons announce the opening of Galaxy Novelties. Now it is a general store. Okay, it's a shop, which a new place, a new store which they are opening, and they have given you the address, which is a very important component of any invitation. So this is the address. Next important thing is that the date is mentioned. Okay, so it is on Sunday, the 19th of October, and the date we don't know, and the timing is also mentioned, if you see, at 11 a.m. And there are other things which you want, if you want, you can mention, but that is not an important part. The most vital things in an invitation are that you mention for what you're calling people, where they're supposed to come, and at what time they are supposed to come. Okay, so this was about the formal invitations. Now let us look at the next kind of formal invitation, which is a notice. Now in the notice also you will see, children, that the notice also contains the points which we talked about in a formal invitation. Now when a formal invitation is sent out, it is sent out individually to people. Okay, you want to call A, so a formal invitation goes to A. If you want to call Mr. B, the formal invitation goes to Mr. B. But in case of a notice, a common notice is displayed in a common place where all can see it. Now this notice is for the students of standard 7th and their parents. Can you see? And everything else which I told you about in the formal invitation has been mentioned here. So you have the timing, the date, the venue, etc., along with the name of the event and who's going to inaugurate it, etc. Okay, so a formal invitation you sent out individually to people, whereas a notice you put it up for a group of people or a set of people to see and take information from. So this is the second type of communication that we saw, a notice. The first one was a formal invitation. Let's move on and see one specimen of notice. So see here, this is a specimen of a notice. So there is a school called MB High School, and they are conducting what? They are conducting a dramatics competition audition. Audition means selection for a dramatics competition which is going to be held on the 10th of March 2018. Okay, so this is this they will not come and give it to each of the students. This will be put up in a common place and you have to look out for it and you have to read it and you have to follow it. No one will personally follow this up and come to you and give you a letter and tell you that you have been invited. Alright, so that is one major difference between a notice and an invitation, but all other things are the same. That is about the information that is given in the notice and the information which is given in the invitation are almost the same. Okay, now we come to the next kind of invitation and we talk about oral communication or invitation through oral communication. Now all of us know what oral is. We have written exams and then we have oral exams in which you talk and you express your ideas to your teacher. Okay, now in this particular lesson that we have 1.5, there are two kinds of oral invitations. So let us see what they are. So the first kind of oral invitation is a little formal, when the teacher, okay, Vishwas Ajinkya, he invites the editor of a newspaper, that is Mr. Shashank, and he calls him up and he gives him all the information that is there in the formal invitation. That is, this is the time and this is the venue and this is the event and we would like to invite you. So all the matter which is there in the invitation will be the same, but here this is little formal because the teacher of the school is inviting a news editor. Both these people, they don't know each other personally, but it is a kind of an invitation which is oral. He has not written anything, he is just telling it to him on the phone. And the last kind of invitation that we have is where there is a child called Samir and he is telling his parents about the event. So you can see Samir here, he is studying in standard 7th and he has seen the notice which his principal has put up for him. And after reading the notice, he's coming and telling his parents about the event. So, what all will he tell his parents? Yes, of course, he will tell them what the event is about. He will tell them when the inauguration is going to be held, at what time, and all the other pieces of information that we saw in the formal invitation, in the notice, etc. Alright, children. So, this was our lesson for today. Lesson number 1.5, Seeing Eyes Helping Hands, where we looked at communication as a very, very important skill in learning language. Not only English language, but any language. And we saw under the heading of communication, we saw how we give out invitations to people. And what was the reason for invitation over here in this particular case? It was a new social work project of a school, and there was inauguration of this particular project, and how invitations were sent out to the various people regarding this particular project, how the communication was done. Okay, children, so hope you understood this part of the lesson. Now we will meet again next time for another lesson in English. So now let me say goodbye to you from the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika.